Hi, this is Justin with another video about Peter Breggins' book, Toxic Psychiatry. And I wrote these two down because when I was finished reading these two books, I gave them back to my mother to take home. And those two other books were The End of Mental Illness by Daniel G. Amen, How Neuroscience is Transforming Psychiatry and Helping Prevent or Reverse Mood and Anxiety Disorders, ADHD, Addictions, PTSD, Psychosis, Personality Disorders, and more. And then the other book is Medication Madness by Peter Breggin. The role of psychiatric drugs in the cases of violence, suicide, and crimes. There are hundreds of millions of psychiatric prescriptions written annually. Are they doing more harm than good? And that book talks about medication. Dude, every time I'm making a video, traffic in and out of the room, door opening, closing is very annoying. So it distracts me from what I'm trying to say. And then he'll walk back in and the door will open again. Medication Madness gives you examples a lot about antidepressants and how they can make you can have adverse reactions to them. You just have to read the book. It's too much to explain right here. But it gives you story after story after story of, like, the book's filled with stories of medication spellbinding. And when it's happening, the person taking the medication is not likely to know this from the medication, so they could go back in front of the psychiatrist and end up getting more of the medication or more medications added to that medication because the doctor will think it's the patient's symptoms when it's actually the medication causing that type of adverse effect for the person to act the way they are. So I've read that book, and I've read The End of Mental Illness by Daniel G. Amen. And Daniel G. Amen is The End of Mental Illness, How Neuroscience is Transforming Psychiatry and Helping Prevent or Reverse Mood and Anxiety Disorders, ADHD, Addictions, PTSD, Psychosis, Personality Disorders, and more. I know it's the second time I read that one, but he uses SPECT brain scans. And he stopped using psychiatric drugs as much when he saw the damage that was causing the patient's brain on their SPECT scans. And he said the healthiest brains that he's seen, the healthiest brain scans he's seen are people that take Ginkgo biloba and omega-3 fish oil. And I actually have. The doctor here put me on omega-3 fish oil, and I started ordering Ginkgo biloba tea. But anyway, so I read, and he recommends, like B vitamins and healthy lifestyle. There's a link between mental health and exercising, and I'm not trying to go too deep into this, but I wouldn't recommend working out too much if you're taking psychiatric medications, because the medication will impair your metabolism, and you're not going to outrun that on a treadmill. I know from experience. So stopping the antagonist, being the medication, is how you will lose the weight. And all of the medications cause weight gain. So do the mood stabilizers. It's not just the antipsychotics. And the antidepressants, if you're a woman or a guy, doesn't even matter. They'll give you sexual side effects. You won't be able to orgasm with your boyfriend or girlfriend. So you don't want antidepressants either. So I would suggest meditating and exercising. And you can meditate on your life and figure out, and you become smarter Subscribe to Gaia. G is spelled GAIA.com. Subscribe to Gaia. There's all the videos you need to watch, and Gaia will awaken you and expand your awareness. But this video is about Peter Breggins' toxic psychiatry. Peter Breggin, described as the conscience of American psychiatry, speaks out on why therapy, empathy, and love must replace the drugs and the biochemical theories of the new psychiatry. And I'll read the back of it. It says, Prozac, Xanax, Halcoin, Haldol, lithium, these psychiatric drugs and dozens of other short-term solutions are being prescribed by doctors across the country as a quick antidote to depression, panic disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and other psychiatric problems, but at what cost? In this searing, myth-shattering exposed, psychiatrist Peter R. Breggin, MD, breaks through the hype and false promises surrounding the new psychiatry and shows how dangerous, even potentially brain-damaging, many of its drugs and treatments are. He asserts that psychiatric drugs are spreading an epidemic of long-term brain damage, mental illnesses like schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety disorder have never been proven to be genetic or even physical in origin, but are under the jurisdiction of medical doctors. Millions of school children, housewives, elderly people, and others are labeled with medical diagnoses and treated with authoritarian interventions rather than being patiently listened to, understood, and helped. Toxic psychiatry sounds a passionate, much-needed wake-up call for everyone who plays a part, active or passive, in America's ever-increasing dependence on harmful psychiatric drugs. And then about the author, Peter R. Breggin is a leading critic of psychiatric drugs and the psychopharmaceutical complex. He is a graduate of Harvard College and Case Western Reserve Medical School and was formerly a teaching fellow at Harvard Medical School and a full-time consultant with the National Institute of Mental Health. He is a director of the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and has been in the full-time practice of psychiatry in Bethesda, Maryland since 1968. Dr. Breggin is the author, with Ginger Ross Breggin, of Talking Back to Prozac and the War Against Children. So, and then the chapters in the book, I already read this book. He goes over what is psychiatry out of control, part 1. He talks about schizophrenic overwhelm and neuroleptic drugs, understanding the passion of schizophrenic overwhelm, suppressing schizophrenic overwhelm with neuroleptic drugs, medical miracle or chemical lobotomy, the effects of Haldol, Prolixin, Thorazine, Mellaril, and other antipsychotic drugs. The miracle drugs cause the worst plague of brain damage in medical history. The biology and genetics of schizophrenic overwhelm. And then he goes on to depressive or manic depressive, bipolar. Those are the older terms for basically bipolar. Antidepressants, lithium, and electroshock. Understanding the passion of depression or manic depressive, quote in parentheses, bipolar overwhelm. The biology of depression and manic depression overwhelm, suppressing depression and manic depression overwhelm with lithium, antidepressants including Elavil and Prozac, and goes on to mentions other forms of treatments that are used for depression and why they're not good for your brain either. And then he goes into anxiety. So he covers schizophrenia, bipolar, and anxiety and talks about each one kind of in the same context, but in each's own category of diagnosis. So he does the same thing with anxiety, and then he has this other part on women, children, the homeless, and the psychopharmaceutical complex. Abandoning responsibility for our children, a critique of hyperactivity, attention deficit disorder, learning disabilities, dyslexia, autism, and other diagnoses. Suppressing the passion of children with hospitalization and with drugs such as Ritalin and Mellaril, and suppressing the passion of women. And then chapter 15, psychiatry and the psychopharmaceutical complex. And then there's psychosocial alternatives, psychotherapy and psychosocial programs. And then there's Appendix A to join groups and sources of legal and psychotherapeutical help. So the end of the book basically says that there's more benefits of psychosocial and psychotherapeutic approaches, and because all the biochemical theories of psychiatry is exactly what they are, and when you the only biochemical imbalance that you have is from taking the medication. There's something called human nature, and we all have it. So there's other things you can do besides go to a psychiatrist. You can learn meditation, you can practice yoga, you can join the gym, the YMCA, Anytime Fitness, Planet Fitness, and start working out. You can take B vitamins, you can drink tea, and let me get that out for you for a second. It's only take a minute, hold on. So there's tea that you can take, and I have right here ashwagandha tea, which is good for stress, and also for men it benefits fertility and can increase testosterone levels and strengthen endurance during weight training. And as you can see, I have tumeric tea with ginger and meadowsweet, 5 traditional medicinals, and I have nighty original passionflower tea. And then, like I said, up here there is Ginkgo biloba, which Ginkgo biloba is used for cognitive enhancement. It can improve memory, mental function, and stuff like that. It's actually a great tea to have. My regimen being omega-3 fish oil, which I have prescribed to me, vitamin D3. Omega-3 is good for your heart, your brain, and your eyes. And this has benefits as well. If you Google benefits of Ginkgo biloba tea, you'll see the benefits. And you can do that with any tea. Just go to Google Images and type in the tea that you're looking for, and you'll see the benefits of each one of the teas. So my regimen right now being Ginkgo biloba, turmeric, ashwagandha, and nighty passionflower. So I'm on a pretty good tea regimen, but that's just the books that I wanted to share because I made this video before about this book, but it wasn't the best video, so I took it down, and I included these other 2 books, The End of Mental Illness and Medication Managed by Peter Breggins. And you can look up The End of Mental Illness by Daniel G. Amen on Amazon and order that and read it for yourself as well. And that pretty much concludes this video. I just wanted to get people to read some of these books and educate themselves on psychiatry, because the medical doctors and if you see what's going on in Montgomery County with the rest of my channel and the videos I posted, I needed to bring these books to everybody's awareness. Thanks for watching.